Welcome to 8.6. Today we're going to be talking about histograms. First thing we're going to talk about is the differences between a histogram and a bar graph. Now they look very similar, but they do have differences when you take a look. Now if you look at a bar graph, okay, we've got individual bars and there's gaps in between them, meaning separation. Okay? And on the bottom we talk about specific categories. So this bar right here is just for USA. Okay, it doesn't do anything else. This one is just for India, just for the UK, okay, and so on. So bar graphs give specific information on a specific category. Okay, whereas a histogram, there's no gaps in between the bars, and you'll notice that we have number ranges down here. So this bar only stands for between 100 and 150. Okay, it doesn't give us any more specific information than that. We can't find 125. Okay, we don't know how many are at 125. We just know how many are between 100 and 150. Same thing for between 150 and 200, 200 and 250, and so on and so forth. So bar graphs give us more of a specific answer to certain ones. So if we want to know just USA, we can look there, just India, so on and so forth. But a histogram only gives us how much are in a certain number range. Okay, we cannot figure out for a specific number. So when we're reading a histogram, as we talked about on the bottom, here are our number ranges. Okay, in this case we're talking about age. So this first bar tells us how many are between 20 and 30, how many between 30 and 40, 40 and 50, 50 and 60, 60, 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90 and 100. And on the side here, the frequency, that tells us how many are in each bar. So between 20 and 30, you'll notice our bar goes up to 2. There's 2 in this bar. For the next one, it goes up to 4. There's 4 in this one, 4 in this one. And we got 5 here. Looks like we've got 3 here, 1. There's none here because there's no bar. And then there's 1 there. Okay, so on the bottom tells us the ranges that we're looking for. On the side tells us how many are in each bar. So here's an example of things that you're going to see. You're going to be given a histogram. In this case, we're talking about the age of lottery winners. And then they're going to give us ranges to figure out how many fall in that range. Now what I like to do is I like to find the number in each bar first. Okay? That way this part, answering the questions, becomes a lot easier. So if you look here between 0 and 19, there's no bar. That means there's 0 in this group. This bar goes up to 2, so there's 2 in the 20 to 29 range. There's 5 in the 30 to 39 range, 6 in the 40 to 49, 8 in the 50 to 59, 5 in the 60 to 69, and 4 in the 70 to 79 range. Okay, so once you have figured out how many are in each, that makes answering the questions a lot easier. So if you look at this first one, they want to know between 20 and 29. That's just this bar right here. And we know that there's 2 there. For the next one, 50 to 59, that is just this one range right here, this one bar. And we know that there's 8 in that bar. Between 70 and 79, that's right here, we've got a bar of 4. Now what else they could do is they could add more than one range together. So like this one, 40 and older. So that starts here at 40 and it goes everything over that. So we need to include all of these. So I take all of the bars, 6, 8, 5, and 4, and I add them together. And if I add them together, I get 23. So there are 23 that are 40 and older. I can do the same thing with 59 and younger. 59 is right here, and younger means I take everything that's younger than 59. So I've got 0, 2, 5, 6, and 8. And I add all of those up together to find my answer, which is 21. And they can also do in the middle. So you'll see here 30 to 59. So 30 starts here, 59 is here. They want to know all of these ranges together. So if I take those 3 bars and add them together, 5, 6, and 8, and I add those together, I get that there are 19 winners between 30 and 59 years old. Here we've got a different histogram. Now we're talking about the percent of men spending at least 1 hour a week participating in sports or exercise by age. Again, we need to know how many are in each one. Now you'll notice this one's not as clear cut. You'll notice how the first bar goes just above 60. So we're going to say that that's probably about 62. The second one also goes above 40, about the same amount, so we'll say that's 42. For the next one, it gets a little closer to halfway, so we'll say that that is 35. We're back to just being a little over 20, so we're going to say that's 22 again. The next one looks like it's right below 20, so we're going to say that's 19. The next one, just below 10, so we're going to say that's 9. And then the very last one looks like it's pretty close to 0, so we're going to say that that's probably about 2. Now, when it comes to quizzes and tests, you won't have any that aren't on the bars, so there won't be any need for guessing, but it's good to know that it doesn't always have to go on the line. So we're going to work with these numbers for this example. So our first one, we've got between 16 and 34, which means we're taking these two and adding them together. Okay? So if we add those together, 62 plus 42, we're going to get 104. So about 104 men exercise between those two age groups. 35 and 54, so we're adding these two together. 35 and 22, we're going to add those together, and we would get 57. For the next one, 64 and younger, that ends here and goes all the way back this way. So I need to add up all of those numbers. So 62, 42, 35, 22, and 19. If I add all of those up, I get 180. For the last one, 16 to 20. Now you'll notice this age group goes from 16 to 24. It doesn't cut off at 20. So we don't know that information. Okay? We don't have that. There's not enough information to give that. So when we see this, we can put not enough information because we don't know how many between 16 and 20 because we're only given a bar between 16 and 24. Our next histogram, we're talking about heights of black cherry trees. Okay, so we've got the heights on the bottom and how many on the side. Again, always a good idea to figure out how many are in each first. This first one goes in between 2 and 4. That's going to be 3. Also 3. The next one goes up to 8 and then 10. Then between 4 and 6, that'll be a 5. And then the last one will be at 2. So when we're going between 60 and 70, we're starting here and we're going to here. Between 60 and 70, we're going to take those two bars and add them up. 3 plus 3. There are 6 trees between 60 and 70 feet high. Over 75, so we're going to start at 75 and we're going to go all the way to the right. So we're going to take those 3 and add them up. 10 plus 5 plus 2. There are 17 trees that are over 75 feet high. Between 65 and 90, so 65 all the way to 90, I've got these 5 bars to add up. So I'm going to do 3 plus 8 plus 10 plus 5 plus 2. And that's going to get me an answer of 28. There are 28 trees between 65 and 90 feet tall. Under 80, so if I start at 80 here and I go under, which is to the left, I add up those 4 bars. So 3 plus 3 plus 8 plus 10. That's going to get me a total number of 24. And the last one, between 70 and 85, 70 starts here, 85 here, so I'm going to be adding these 3 bars together, 8 plus 10 plus 5, and that's going to get me an answer of 23 trees between 70 and 85 feet tall. Go ahead and pause the video and do these last ones on your own, and then hit play and see how you did. So the first thing you should have done is labeled the bars. So you should have gotten 2, 4, 4, 5, 3, 1, 0, and 1 for each bar. For 20 to 50, you should have gotten a total of 10. Over 60, you should have gotten a total of 5. 80 to 90, there are 0. Under 50, you get 10. Notice how under 50 and between 20 and 50 were the same because they covered the same range. 40 to 100, we should have gotten 14. So again, always label the bars first so that you know what numbers to add up, and it's a little bit easier to do these different groups.